Hey YouTube, it's been a while since I've done a video, so I thought I owed you one. It's a rainy day outside and really not much else I can do. And this is the first time I'm doing something in my new darkroom. I just am putting the finishing touches on this darkroom, and I'll give you a tour here in another video. But I have a story to tell. What kind of inspired my making this darkroom is I got back into film photography about a year ago, or just a little less than a year ago, and I, been kind of reaching out to folks and trying to see if I could scrounge some darkroom equipment. And the local art teacher here at the high school, she was cleaning out her closet, and she had come across all kinds of photographic paper and chemicals. Bulk film loaders, bulk film, basically just tons and tons of this material that was part of the high school's yearbook program back in the 1980s, maybe even the 70s. The film that I've found and the paper is all dated as expiring in 1980 or 1979, so it's some pretty old stuff. In that treasure trove, I come across these film canisters. There were about 100 of them that were, ready to be reloaded. But I had come across about, well, actually it's a total of 3, 6. I came across these 8 film canisters that actually had film in them. And the way the canisters were, with the leader all the way tucked inside, I, kind of guessed that maybe they were exposed. And I thought, well, instead of just throwing that away, I thought maybe I should just try developing it. So these images may come out, they may not, but I thought I'd just go ahead and take the opportunity to develop these. So these old canisters are loaded with what I think is Tri-X 400, based on just some research and what I have in the bulk film loaders. And they're marked as Tri-X 400, and the film looks the same in color. It's got this kind of like this gray, mousy gray on the back side, and the emulsion side is kind of a tannish gray color. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that it's Tri-X 400. I'm going to go ahead and use, I also got a lot of chemicals, including a whole box of D76. So I already made up a gallon of this D76. Now this is all from the same era, so we're talking about 80s or late 70s maybe, but they're sealed, they're still powder mostly, so I'm guessing the chemicals are probably still good. I've actually used one of these packs already, and I've already used up that developer developing other newer film stocks, and it developed just fine, and it did it as predicted. So I'm going to assume that this developer is fine, so I can trust it. So I'm going to try to develop these and see if anything comes out, and I'll bring you along on the journey. It says mystery film to be developed. Alright, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and pull some leader out, and then I'm going to go ahead and carefully trim it, and then I like to snip the corners. It just seems to make it load into the reels a lot easier. And then I'm going to go ahead and get it started, and what I want to do is I want to start right here, or I'm sorry, I want to start right here into these guides. And if you look here closely, you can see right there, there's a little ball bearing on each side. And so I'm going to slide this in and push it up till it goes over those ball bearings. And then when I pull on it, it's stuck. Okay, so that's ready to go. And let me do that for this other piece of film here, this other reel. So go ahead and snip it. And trim my corners. and find my guides, and there are the ball bearings. But it's a whole lot easier doing this in the light than trying to do this in the dark of the dark bag or the dark tank. Alright, so that's holding, so that's ready to go. So these two are ready. Go ahead and get rid of my trash. And let me go ahead and put my dark box up. I've got my tank and the spindle that the two reels will go on. I also want to make sure I've got the part that blocks out the light. I'm going to just set that in there like that. I've got my two reels ready to load, and I've got my scissors. And close it up, put my hands in. Alright, so we're going to mix up some developer here. We've got D76. Make sure I get my gloves on. Alright, so I just mixed up this D76 yesterday, and so it's had a day to cool. Okay, so I'm going to fill to the top line here with the D76. Pour it carefully. Makes a mess. I always have a rag around to pick up. Okay. And so I'll put that in here. Okay, that's almost 300. Actually, you know, I probably could have just gotten away with pouring this directly in. There we go. Okay, and this is distilled water. Go ahead and pour that to take it up to 600. There's 600. I'm going to do this for 6 minutes. And I'm going to give myself 15 seconds to pour it in. So there we go. And all right, go ahead and pour it in. All right, and the first thing I like to do is I like to do 10 agitations. Make sure I get that sealed.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Bang it, get the air out. Now, I'm going to agitate it 3 times every minute till the time runs out. Okay, so that's enough in the photo flow. So we're going to go ahead and pull these out. Oh yeah, definitely got some images there. Alright, so I'm going to squeegee it with my gloved fingers. It's definitely curling. And these are pretty thin. Looks like, it's hard to tell. I'm going to have to put this in a scanner. Some faces. You know, again, these were student films, and so there's no telling, you know, if they were shot properly, if they were properly exposed. There's just no telling. So you just have to guess without all that curl to it. But that's encouraging. There's images there. Okay, let's see what the other one had. This one was pretty short, if I remember right. Alright, so this one had nothing. There's nothing on that. That was just spent film. So that's okay. Got some images that were from the 1980s. It'd be interesting to see what they are. Okay, so here's my second tank with the other 2 rolls of film, and I've mixed up some more developer here, and so I'm going to go ahead and set 6 minutes on my clock. Those were thin. I'm going to think maybe I should do 7 minutes, get them a little denser, and I'm going to go ahead and add the 15 seconds for pour time. Okay, so here we go. Go ahead and let me make sure I've got my cap here ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and start that, and I'm going to go ahead and start pouring. And that's 600 milliliters, which is plenty to do 2 rolls of film. These tanks are great. They're very flexible. I can do 2 rolls of 35 or 1 roll of 120, and I've used them for both. All right, so 1,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
all right, so moment of truth. Let's see what we got here. There are some images there. I wouldn't swear by them, but there's some images there. I'm going to go ahead and throw this in the... Get my photo flow out here. We're going to drop these into the photo flow. That was a lot of work, but as you can see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of the 8 rolls with images. I had 2 that were just nothing. I think they were either leaders or, you know, basically nothing on there, no images. This one was fully exposed. This one had like fungus or something on it. But anyway, got 4 or 6 rolls with images. And I can make out some faces on some of them. It'd be kind of interesting to see if anybody I know recognizes them, because it is from the 1980, about the time I was in high school. So it'd be kind of fun to see what we get. So next step is I'm going to let them dry, and then I'll scan them, and we'll take a look at them.